I'm Anil Kumar. Welcome to my series on providing solutions to EQAO Grade 9 test papers. In this video, we'll discuss solution of 2016 test papers. Here are a few formulas which should be remembered by you. Most important is sum of interior angles 180 degrees times n minus 2, and these formulas for area and volume. I'll provide you complete solution of the test paper and also give you 3 bonus questions which are expected in this year. Now here is my email address. In case you need any help, you can always send me your questions on this email. I'll be answering them as soon as possible. Let me thank EQAO, Education Quality and Accountability Office, for sharing these questions. We are now going to solve one by one 2016 question. You need actually a good pencil so that you can blank circle in dark pencil color these solutions as shown here. I will be writing the solutions with ink. Here are few other questions which I'll be discussing. We should understand how to find area of a composite figure. And here is a question which I expect this year. So this question I'll add at the end of this video. Another important concept which I expect this year is about area of regular polygons. Here is the derivation for the same. We'll also add this particular question at the end of our solutions. Now, let us begin with the actual test paper of 2016. We'll have 8 multiple choice questions to begin with. Then we'll have open response questions, and then again end with multiple choice questions. Let's answer them one by one. Question number 1. A ball is dropped from the height of 25 meters. The ball's height, capital H, in meters, after n bounces is represented by the equation h equals to 25 times 1 over 2 to the power of n. What is the height of the ball after 4 bounces? So we have to replace this n with 4, right? N equals to 4. So let's see how to solve it. So n equals to 4 because n is the number of bounces. So the height will be how much? Height will be equals to 25 times 1 over 2 to the power of 4, which is 25 times 1 over 16. 2 to the power of 4 is 16. So A is the right option, right? So I'm actually just circling the answers here. You need to circle these answers, rather fill in the answer sheet, right? So I hope this point is absolutely clear. Now let's take question number 2, which is a cube with a given side length is pictured below. Which algebraic expression represents the area of one face, right? So only one face area. So in cube, all the sides are equal. So the area is going to be x times x, which is equal to x squared. So in this case, it is option C, which is the right option, right? So we'll circle C for question number 2. Now let's look into question number 3. A school is planning a car wash to raise $600. There will be 8 teams. Each team will wash 2 cars per hour. The car wash will last 5.5 hours. Each team will take 2 15-minute breaks. How much should the school charge per car to raise exactly $600? Now this question is slightly difficult than other multiple choice questions. Let us try to understand how do we solve it. Now here, important thing is to understand that there are two 15 minutes break. That means two 15 minutes break means half an hour break, right? So half an hour break. Is that clear to you? Now, let's go through this question again. It says there are 8 teams. Each team will wash 2 cars per hour, right? So in 1 hour, 2 cars by 8 teams means 8 times 2 cars, right, in 1 hour, right? This is in per hour. So 2 cars per hour, right? Now, the car wash will last 5.5 hours and there's a break for half an hour. So they'll work for only 5 hours, right? So they work for 5 hours. Do you understand? Now, if they work for 5 hours, how many cars are being washed? Hours and hours cancel. 5 times 2 is 10 times 8 is 80. Right? So we have 80 cars to be washed. Now what do we need? We need $600 after washing these 80 cars. How much should we charge per car? You are allowed the calculator. However, we can easily do this calculation. You need to divide 600 by 80 cars. So you'll get dollars per car. Do you understand how the units go? So we can divide this by 10 first. Now, 8 times 7 is 56. We get 40. 8 times 5 is 40. So exactly you should be charging $7.50. So I hope this calculation is absolutely clear. Writing units when we do this calculation helps you to understand what should come in the numerator and what should come in the denominator, right? So that is a higher difficulty question, but I hope now the concept is clear. Now let's take question number 4. Question number 4 is, which of the following is equivalent to this expression? We just need to expand, apply the distributive property. So multiply by 3 both the terms. We get 15x minus 3. And here with minus 2, right? This sign is negative. So when you multiply by minus 2, we get minus 6x, right? And when you multiply minus 2 with 5, you get minus 10. Is that clear? So that is the expression. Now 15x minus 6x you have to do, minus 3 minus 10, and that is 9x, and this is minus 13. So option A is the right option. So I hope this is absolutely clear, right? So that is how you're going to solve it. Now let's move on to the next page and see what is question number 5. Question number 5. Information about the relationship between the height of a plant and time is shown on the grid below. So that is height in centimeters and time in number of weeks, right? Which table of values show only information about this relationship? So let's figure it out. The first one says 1 and 2. At 1 it is 0.5, not 2. So this is not correct. The second one says 2, 1. At 2, 1, right? This is correct. 3, 2. So at 3 it is 2. That is also correct. At 5 it is 6. That is also correct. So option B is the right option. Clear? So that is reading from the graph and relating to the data. Question number 6 is, 2 golf courses offer student memberships. Information about the linear relationships between the total cost C, which is given on the y-axis in dollars, and the number of games played N at these 2 golf courses is given below, right? So there are different ways. So this is a line diagram where we are saying that at first golf course, $10 is the base, and for every game you pay $10 more, right? So if you compare these two, so basically the cost here is a fixed cost of $10 plus $10 for each game, right? Okay. Now, let's try to understand the question, then we'll get back to the table also. Which of the following statements is correct describing the two relationships? So this is the second relationship. They are both direct variations. Since it is partial, it is not going through zero, so that is not correct. The first is direct variation. No, that is not correct. Now part C is, the first is partial variation, that's correct. With the initial value of $10, that is also correct. And the second is a direct variation. Now, we need to check this, whether the second is a direct variation or not. How do you check it? Well, here is the simplest way to do. Direct variation means that cost is equal to some constant times n, right? That is direct variation. It also means, for example, here, we are multiplying by 3, right? 3 times 3 is 9. We have to see if the cost also gets multiplied by 3. If it does, it is a direct variation. So 51 times 3 is what? 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 5 is 15. Well, that matches. Do you see that? So that means this is a direct variation. So option C is the right option. Correct? Option C is the right option. And this is probably the simplest way to check this. Okay, so that is how you should be checking direct variations. So this is very important. Let me write here important. Concept. Okay, let's move on to question number 7 now. The graph below shows Joe's distance from a wall as he walks. So it's going away, standing still, and then coming towards. That is what it is. Let's see the description. Which statement describes Joe's walk? A. Joe walks towards, that is wrong. B. Joe walks away from the wall, stands still, and then walk towards the wall. That is absolutely correct. Is that correct? So that is how you have to do. Once you find the correct answer, you don't really have to read the others because that could be confusing at times. Now let's move on and take the next question, which is again based on line graph. Consider the graph. Which of the following is an equation representing this graph? So let's write down our equation. 6 is fixed value. P, independent variable, should be equal to, this fixed value is plus 6, right? And what is the slope? Let's take this point. It is going down, so it is negative, right? Now it goes down by 2 units, and then right is by 1 unit, right? So it is P is equals to minus 2n, right? So minus 2n plus 6. Let us see which one matches, right? So if you see, option C is the correct option, right? So that is how we are going to answer this. And now we have open response questions. So in open response questions, you have to describe your answers. I hope by now you have learned all these multiple choice questions without difficulty. Now let us see how to answer the open response questions. See the solution of question number 9, which is open response question. It's about floor areas. The diagram of the floor shown below has algebraic expressions for the length of its sides in meters, right? 4x minus 3, 5x and all. Determine an unsimplified expression for the total area of the floor A in meters square. So how can you do it? There are many ways. You can divide it into 2 rectangles, add and then do it. That is one way of doing, right? So we'll do 2 methods. So first method, let's divide it like this, right? So we have 2 areas. This is area 1, this is area 2. So we can just figure out how much is each, and then we can find the expression. So area 1 is length into width. Now this is the length, which is 4x minus 3. We are going to multiply this by the width, which is 5x. Correct? And For the second one, the length is 3x minus 3. So we're going to add this with 3x minus 3 times 2x. So that is one method, right? Add the two areas. The other method is you can think about making a square like this. I mean a rectangle, and then taking away this area, right? So we'll call this as option 2. So in this option, what we are going to do is we are going to find the whole area of the big square, which is big rectangle, I should say, sides are different. That is to say, we'll find this area, and from that we are going to take away a small rectangle. So the whole area is 4x minus 3 times 7x, right? This length and width. And from this we take away that area, this area, which is x times 2x. Is that clear? Now both these should give you the right answer. So when they say determine unsimplified expression for the two areas, you could give both of them or any one of them as your right answer. Now the second part is simplify your expression fully, show your work. Now let's simplify them, right? So let me simplify this one. So we're going to multiply by 7x both these terms. 7 times 4 is 28. So we get 28x squared minus 7 times 3 is 21x. And here we get minus 2x squared, right? So that gives you, we have 28x squared, from which we will take away 2x squared and then 21x. So 28 minus 2 is 26x squared minus 21x. So that becomes a simplified expression. Let us see what we get from the left side. If I multiply by 5, I get 5 times 4 as 20x squared minus 5 times 3, 15x. And here we are multiplying by 2x, so we get plus 6x squared and minus 2 times 3 is 6x. Now 20x squared plus 6x squared is 26x squared, and minus 15 and minus 6 gives you minus 21x. So we get the same expression, right? So you could write the simplified expression as 26x squared minus 21x. And this expression, either one of them, so I'll prefer to write 4x minus 3 times 7x minus x times 2x, right? So that is what I'm going to do. So I hope the steps are absolutely clear. In open response questions, you should be explaining your steps and writing all these steps. Perfect. Let's take the next example, which is folding time. A piece of paper is folded in half, which results in 2 layers of paper. Then the paper is folded in half again to make 4 layers, and so on. So initially, we have only 1 layer, and then we have 2 layers, and here we have 4 layers. This information is also provided to you in the form of a table. The number of layers and the number of folds are recorded in this chart. So 0 fold, right? 0 fold, 1 layer. 1 fold, 2 layers, 2 fold, 4 layers. Now the question is, determine whether this relationship is linear or non-linear. Well, clearly it is non-linear, right? Since they are increasing by different amounts. Here it is plus 1, and then here it is plus 2. Now in the third fold, it will be 4 times 2, which is 8, so it is going to increase by 4. Now this difference is constant or not? No, it's different, right? Since common difference is not constant, so it is non-linear. Clear? So we will circle non-linear. justify your answer, you have option of using the grid if you wish to. You could do that, right? Since it's an open response question, there is no harm in providing different types of solutions, right? So we are given the table. At 0, it is 1. Now, these steps are 4, 8, this is 2, so at 1 will be this point, correct? At 1, it is 2, right? At 2, it is 4. At 3, it is going to be 8, which is 2 to the power of 3, right? 2 to the power of 3. And here, it is going to be twice 8, which is 16, right? Do you get the idea? Times 2. So at 4, it is going to be 16. You know, this curve is non-linear. It's not a straight line. So what we have is a non-linear curve. Correct? It is basically an exponential growth, right? It increases rapidly. So it is a non-linear function, and that is how you could justify it. So I hope this is absolutely clear, right? Now let's take the next question, which is question number 11, theater program. A company charges schools to print programs for school plays. Information about the linear relationship between the total cost and the number of programs printed is shown below. Determine the equation to represent this relationship, right? So n is the variable, the number of programs, c is the cost. To find the relationship, we know it is a straight line. It says a linear relationship. Means you could write c as equal to the rate, which is m times n, plus b, the y-intercept. Now to find m, what can I do? I'll do c2 minus c1 over n2 minus n1, right? So let's take these two values. We have 250 minus 220 divided by 500 minus 350, right? So 250 minus 220 is 30 divided by 150, and that gives you 3 goes 5 times 1 over 5. Okay? So that is the value of m. So we can write the equation as c equals to 1 over 5n plus b. To find the value of b, we can take one of these points. So let's take 500 and 250. So cost is 250, so I'll substitute 250 here and 500 for n. So 1 over 5 times 500 plus b, right? So this goes 100 times. So we have 250 minus 100 equals to b, which is clearly 150. So we get our equation, right? So we know the value of b. So we can write the equation as cost c is equal to 1 over 5n plus 150 as the fixed cost. Is that clear to you, right? So that is how you could answer this. You have the option of using the grid for this. Well, I'll not take this option. I have given good enough explanation here, and that is perfectly fine. So let's move on and take up the next question, which is question number 12. It says two lines are represented by the equation line 1 x minus 2y plus 6 equals to 0. Line 2 is 3x plus 6y minus 18 equals to 0. Determine which line could be represented by y equals to minus half x plus 3. Circle line 1, line 2, or both. So let's figure it out. So we need to isolate, right? So let's isolate. So we have first line as x minus 2y plus 6 equals to 0. Now, we can take x and 6 on the other side. So we get minus 2y equals to minus x minus 6. Now we'll divide by minus 2. So we get minus x divided by minus 2 minus 6 divided by minus 2. Now that gives you what? Well, minus and minus becomes plus. So we get half x here minus and minus becomes plus, and this is plus 3. So definitely this is not minus half x, so that is not correct. Let's do the other line now. Okay, so we have 3x plus 6y minus 18 equals to 0. So we get 6y equals to minus 3x plus 18. Now dividing by 6, we get y equals to minus 3 over 6x plus 18 over 6. So we get y equals to minus half x plus 3. So this is exactly what this equation is. So circle which one is correct. Well, line 2 reduces to what is required, and that is how you're going to answer this question. Perfect. Let's move on and take the next question, which is question number 13. Terrific Tees. A school orders t-shirts for Terrific Tees. The total cost is made up of setup cost of $115 and a cost of $3 per t-shirt. That means the cost is equals to 3 times n plus 115. So cost is in dollars. Correct. Terrific Tees require a minimum of 25 t-shirts. The school can spend a maximum of $800. Determine all possible values of the total cost and the number of t-shirts n for this situation. Show your work. So we can start with the minimum, right? So minimum is 25 t-shirts. That means 25 is the value of n. So for 25, let us find the cost. So cost will be 3 times 25 plus 115. Now that gives you 75 plus 115. Correct? So 5 and 5 is 10. 1 there. So 2, 9. And we get 190. Correct? So that becomes the cost for 25 t-shirts. So one of the possible values, minimum is 25, so n is 25. Now it says, determine all possible values of the cost and the number of t-shirts for this situation. We know maximum is $800. So let's find maximum now. So maximum we know $800. So, but we don't know n. We'll figure out n now. So we can do 800 minus 115 equals to 3 times n. So when you take away 115 from 800, we get borrow. So 9 take away 1 is 8 and 7 take away 1 is 6, right? So we'll divide this by 3 to get n. So when you divide, we get 3 times 2 as 6. 3 times 2 at 6. This is 25, so 8 point something. So that means we have 228 as the maximum value, right? So the number of t-shirts could be 25, 26, 27, and so on till 227 and 228, right? So those are the possible options, correct? Now, let us also see for 228, what is the cost? So let's find the cost for 228. So cost is equals to 3 times 228 plus 115, right? So 3 times 8 is 24, 2. 3 times 2 is 6 and 2, 8. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 115, right? So 5 plus 4, 9. 1 plus 8, 9. 1 plus 6, 7. So its maximum is $799. So here, for possible costs in dollars, we know that the minimum cost is 190, right? And the maximum is 799, and it is increasing by 3 each, right? Plus 3 each time, each n, right? So we can write this cost here as 190, 193, 196, and so on. And we can do 799 as the last one, and then we do 796 and so on, right? So that is how we can get all the values. Is that clear to you, right? So this number here is increasing by 3 each time, and this number here is increasing by 1 each time. Perfect. So that is how we are going to answer this question. Let's move on and take question number 14. 6 and 5 sides. This is a very interesting question. I'd like you to pause the video, think about it, and then look into my suggestions.